After our family get-together that Saturday, I drove home in silence. The kind of silence that hums too loud, like the universe was warning me of something. It had been Clara's idea, a barbecue at her new house. Laughter, kids playing tag, charred hot dogs, and that cheap red wine Dad still loved. Everyone smiled. Everyone hugged. Everyone acted like we were still whole. I dropped my bag by the door and kicked off my heels, exhausted. I didn't even change out of my blazer. Just walked straight to the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and pulled out my phone. It was habit. I check my banking app every night. Old finance habits die hard. $73.49. I blinked. Hit refresh. Again. Still $73.49. Yesterday morning, my balance was over $19,000. I had just moved a chunk from my investment account. I was saving for a new condo. That number wasn't supposed to drop unless I told it to. Footsteps behind me. Derek, my brother-in-law. Shirt untucked, holding a beer. That stupid smug grin plastered on his face like he just won something. "You all right?" he asked. Then, like he'd been waiting to say it, "Relax. We needed it more than you." My throat went dry. "You what?" Clara's voice floated in from the living room. "Selena, don't be so dramatic," she laughed. She was curled up on the couch, sipping wine like it was just another episode of some Sunday sitcom. "It's not like we stole it. We're family." I couldn't speak. I looked from Derek to Clara to the rest of the room. My mom sat in the corner, knitting. She didn't even flinch. Dad scrolled on his phone, completely unbothered. No one looked surprised, not even a little. "Mom?" I said louder. She sighed like I'd just interrupted her favorite soap opera. "Sweetheart, you always overreact. You don't have a mortgage, no kids, a good job. You're fine." My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear the next few seconds of silence. "So that justifies draining my savings?" "Language," my dad muttered, not even looking up. "How did you even get access?" I demanded. Clara looked me dead in the eye. "You left your login open on the family desktop last week when you were helping Dad with his taxes. Maybe don't walk away next time." I nearly choked. "That's my fault?" She shrugged. "Honestly, yeah." I stood there, in my own sister's kitchen, feeling like a stranger. My hands trembled. I curled them into fists to keep from throwing something. "You're making this a bigger deal than it is," Derek added. "We didn't waste it. Rent, groceries, Clara's insurance bill. You know, we survived." "You didn't ask." Clara snapped. "You've been helping for years. What's the difference if it comes from your hand or your account?" I said nothing, just picked up my bag. No one apologized. No one moved. No one even cared. "You're leaving already?" my mom asked, not even looking up. "Yep." I zipped up my coat, voice steady. "But don't worry, I'll be in touch." I reached for the door. Paused. Then I said quietly, coldly, "Then you won't mind what's coming next." They laughed behind me. But outside, something had already started. The cold air outside slapped my face as I walked to my car, fists clenched, jaw locked. I didn't even feel my heels on the pavement, just fury humming through every nerve ending. As I fumbled for my keys, a voice called out softly behind me. "Selena, you okay?" It was my cousin Jenna, half jogging up the driveway. She was always the quiet one, the one who never quite fit into the chaos of our family. I didn't answer. I heard what Clara said in there. She hesitated. That wasn't right. Still nothing from me. Because if I opened my mouth, I'd scream. I got in my car, shut the door, and stared at my hands on the wheel. The digits danced behind my eyes, $19,000. Gone. But here's the thing. This wasn't the first time. It was just the first time they didn't bother pretending. For the past 6 years, I'd been the reliable one, the responsible one, the one with the real job. So they leaned in, little by little. Clara once forgot to pay her phone bill. I paid it. Then Derek got laid off. Just for a couple weeks, he said. I sent money. Then came the emergency vet bill for their dog, the baby shower for Clara's second kid, the rental deposit, Mom's dental crown, Dad's car battery, and they never said thank you. Not once. It was always the same line. You're lucky. Selena, you don't know what struggle is. You're the strong one. God gave you more so you could share. Family helps each other. That's just how it works. No. What they really meant was, we gave you life. Now hand over your bank account. Not one of them had asked me how I was when I was laid off 3 years ago. Not when I ate ramen and boiled eggs for 6 months straight. Not when I skipped every vacation to pay off my own student debt early. Not even when I helped Clara and Derek erase $8,000 of credit card debt. Debt I later learned included luxury handbags and weekend spa getaways. Last week, Clara texted me, "You still coming to the barbecue?" I replied, "Yeah, should I bring anything?" She answered, "Just yourself and your card." I thought it was a joke. Now I know it wasn't. 2 days later, Clara called. I didn't answer. Then Derek texted, "Call her. She's freaking out." By the 5th missed call, I picked up, more curious than concerned. "Selena?" Her voice was lower now, tight, panicked. "We have a problem." "Oh, we do?" "Don't be like that," she snapped, then softened. "Look, something happened. The power company came today. We're behind, like, really behind. They're gonna shut us off Monday if we don't pay." Silence. "So, we need your help." I let out a bitter, short laugh. "You drained my savings and now you're asking for more?" "It wasn't just for us," she said, her voice sharp. "We used some of it to help Mom and Dad, too. Dad's car broke. Down last month, remember?" "I wasn't told," I said calmly. "Because you always say no when it's not an emergency." "Clara," I said flatly, "this isn't just irresponsible. It's criminal." She scoffed. "You're being dramatic. It's family. You've always helped. That's what you're for, right?" And there it was. That line. That truth. That's what you're for. Not a person, not a daughter, not a sister, just a resource. A living, breathing bank account. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, watching the hours pass, one red LED digit at a time. My chest ached with something heavier than anger, betrayal laced with exhaustion. I replayed every phone call, every transfer, every favor. Every time Mom said, "You're the strong one." Every time Clara rolled her eyes when I hesitated. Every time they treated my silence as permission. And for the first time in my life, I whispered back, "Never again." 3 days passed. 3 days of silence on my end, though my phone wasn't silent at all. Missed calls, voicemails that started out angry, then turned desperate. Texts from Derek like, "You don't get it. Clara's losing it. Just talk to her. You're blowing this out of proportion. We said we'd pay it back, didn't we?" But they didn't. Not the last time. Not ever. On the 4th day, my mom called. I didn't answer at first, but the next message caught my attention. "We're planning a family dinner. Just us. Come tonight. Let's talk face to face." I should have ignored it. Should have deleted it, blocked them all, and moved on. But I didn't. A part of me wanted answers. A darker part of me wanted to see if they would dare to look me in the eye and pretend nothing happened. So I said yes. but not before opening my laptop and starting a spreadsheet. That night, I dressed sharply. Black slacks, navy blouse, blazer. No makeup, hair tied back, neutral, unreadable. I didn't want to look like I was hurting. I wanted to look like a threat. When I walked into Clara's house, everyone was already there. Clara, arms crossed. Derek, slouched on the armrest, scrolling through his phone. Mom in the kitchen, stirring something aggressively. Dad flipping through the mail, like this was just another Thursday. I dropped my bag by the door. Let's get this over with. Clara sneered. Maybe we can finally stop acting like you were robbed or something. I looked her dead in the eye. I was robbed. That shut her up for a second. Mom cleared her throat. Selena, we know you're upset, but you have to understand. We were struggling. Dad added. Clara and Derek were drowning. You've always been the stable one. We knew we could count on you. You didn't ask, I said coldly. You took. It's not stealing. Clara rolled her eyes. It's not like we spent it on crap. We used it where it mattered. I reached into my bag, pulled out a folder, opened it, slid it, across the table. No? I said. Then explain this. Derek raised an eyebrow. What is this? Every unauthorized charge made from my account in the last 60 days. Color-coded. Cross-referenced. Matched to your Venmo histories, your Amazon carts, and your credit card payoffs. Clara flipped through a few pages, then froze. $900. Sephora? Derek's face dropped. $2,300 toward a car loan. Your name's on it, Derek. You went through our accounts? He snapped. I looked at him, calm and razor sharp. You went through mine. Consider us even. He stood up, angry now. That's low. Family. Doesn't do this. I stood too. Exactly, and yet, here we are. The room fell into brittle silence. Mom's hand shook slightly as she put down a spoon. Dad still wouldn't meet my eyes. Clara. She was breathing hard now, her jaw clenched. A bead of sweat ran down her temple. I looked around the room and said slowly, firmly, I've compiled every transaction. I've filed a fraud report with my bank. They forwarded it to the state cybercrime unit. This is no longer a family matter. Clara's voice cracked. You didn't... Oh, I did. You called the police. Technically, they called me. Once they saw how organized the evidence was, Dad slammed his hand on the table. You want to put your own sister in jail? You all put yourselves there, I said softly. Then, 3 hard knocks on the front door. The room went ice cold. 3 knocks. Not timid. Not polite. The kind of knock that makes your heart skip and your stomach sink. Clara turned white. Derek stood up too fast and knocked over his beer. Mom gasped and took a step back. Dad just froze. The knock came again. Open up, cybercrime unit. I didn't move. I didn't have to. Derek turned to me, voice low, shaking. Selena, tell me you're not serious. I walked to the door, heels clicking like a countdown. Opened it. 3 officers. Plain clothes. Badges visible. 1 held a clipboard. 1 a tablet. The 3rd scanned the room like he'd been briefed on us for weeks. Selena Vega? Yes. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll take it from here. Behind me, Clara dropped into a chair like her legs gave out. Mom covered her mouth with both hands. Derek looked like he was ready to run, but didn't. The officer with the tablet stepped forward. Clara Bennett. Derek Bennett. You are listed as persons of interest in an open investigation regarding financial fraud, unauthorized account access, and identity theft. Mom cried out, He's her sister's husband. The officer didn't flinch. Family ties do not exempt anyone from the law, ma'am. It wasn't stealing, Clara shouted suddenly. We had a right. She always helped. We thought, thinking you're entitled to someone's money doesn't make it yours, another officer said calmly. Please remain seated. They moved quickly, professionally. No yelling. No handcuffs. Yet. Just facts. And pressure. And the thick, suffocating silence of realization sinking in. I stood off to the side, watching. For the first time in my life, they didn't talk over me. They didn't mock me. They didn't brush me off like I was just emotional. They were silent, because they were scared. Selena, Mom finally spoke, voice shaking. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were just desperate. You've always been the strong one. We thought you'd understand. I turned to face her, steady. You don't get to cry now. Her mouth opened. No words came out. Just a quiet sob. Clara tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Derek sat stiff, fists clenched, eyes fixed on the floor. I looked at the officers. I'll be outside. The lead agent nodded. You're free to go, Ms. Vega. I stepped out onto the porch. Cold night air. Silence. No one chased me. No one shouted after me. For once, there was no guilt. No emotional tug of war. No cries of how could you or you're so cold. Just the sound of tires crunching as the unmarked car pulled up. And the soft, almost cinematic creak of the front door closing behind me. That night, I didn't go home. I drove. No destination. Just streets blurred by headlights and exhaustion. I passed closed bookstores, darkened coffee shops, neon gas stations still buzzing like they didn't know the world had just cracked open for someone. My phone buzzed nonstop on the passenger seat. Texts, calls, voicemails. From Clara. From Mom. From a number I didn't recognize. Probably Dad's burner. I didn't answer. Not one. I didn't want to hear apologies shaped like excuses. By midnight, I found myself parked in front of a house I hadn't visited in over 2 years. My grandmother's cabin. She'd passed away 5 winters ago. But I never let go of the key. She used to say, if they ever make you feel like a bank more than a daughter, Selena, come here. The door will always open for you. That night, it did. I didn't turn on any lights. Just collapsed on the old couch in the front room, still covered in that weird sunflower print blanket she loved. I slept for 11 hours straight. No buzzing notifications. No tension pressing down on my chest. No shame curling up inside my ribs. I woke to soft morning light crawling across the floorboards, made coffee in a chipped white mug she'd kept from the 70s, stood barefoot in front of the kitchen window and watched the sunrise stretch over the wild garden she used to tend. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. But peace doesn't last. Not when you've dismantled the illusion your entire family clung to like gospel. That afternoon, the emails came. First from Dad. This has gone too far. You humiliated us. What happened to loyalty? Then from Clara. They froze my bank account. Derek might lose his job. You ruined our lives over a couple of payments. A couple? Try tens of thousands of dollars. Try years of silent sacrifice. Then came the voicemail from Mom. Selena, sweetheart, you didn't have to do it this way. We could have talked. They're threatening charges. We might lose the house. Please, think of your father. Think of your sister. I know you're hurt, but that line, we might lose the house. I replayed it 3 times, and suddenly, I wasn't angry. I wasn't triumphant. I wasn't even sad. I was just empty, because I had already lost a home. Not the physical kind, but the kind where you feel safe, where your name means more than what's in your wallet. They stole that from me long before they ever touched my bank account. I stayed in that cabin for 4 more days. I read, I journaled, I slept with the windows open and no alarms, and I didn't answer a single call. Until one message came from someone I hadn't expected. It was around 10:30 p.m. I was curled up on the old couch, listening to the rain tapping against the cabin roof, a half-read novel resting on my chest. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. Something in me said, "Pick up." I answered. "Hello?" A pause. Then a voice, low, hesitant. "Selena." "It's me." "Clara." I didn't say anything. She rushed to fill the silence. "Look, I know I messed up, okay? I went too far. I didn't think it would go like this." I stayed silent. She kept going. "Derek's been suspended. Mom's a wreck. Dad won't even talk to me. And you had the power to destroy everything. And you did." I could hear her sniffling on the other end. And still, I said nothing. "Can you just stop it now? Drop the charges? Please, I'll do anything. Just make it go away." I almost felt something. Almost. But then I remembered her words at the barbecue. "Relax. We needed it more than you." So I smiled bitterly and said, calm and cold, "No, you made this mess. Now you live in it." Then I hung up. The next morning, the calm shattered. An email from a contact in legal at my company. Subject line, "Urgent. Allegation review regarding recent financial." Inquiry. Attached was a copy of a statement from Clara and Derek's lawyer, attempting to shift blame onto me. They claimed I had authorized the transfers, that I was supporting my family out of goodwill, and had only turned hostile when asked to give more. They even included a doctored email, made to look like I'd agreed to share my login information. My heart thundered, not out of fear, but fury. They weren't just unrepentant. They were desperate. And they were trying to drag me down with them. That night, I called my lawyer. "Send everything," I said. "We're not just pressing charges anymore. I want a restraining order. And if they push again, I'll sue for defamation too." She didn't hesitate. "Done." But not all the messages were hostile. A few days later, a name popped up in my inbox that made me freeze. Kelly Bennett, Derek's younger sister. We hadn't spoken in years. We'd barely exchanged birthday greetings. Her message was short, but it knocked the air out of me. Subject, "Just so you know. I know we haven't talked in forever, but you were right. About everything. About how they treat you. About how toxic it's become. I used to think you were just cold. Now I think you were brave. I'm sorry it took this long to see it." I read it 3 times, then set my phone down and cried. Not from pain, not from anger, but because for the first time in my life, someone saw me. Not as a wallet. Not as the cold sister. Not as the reliable backup plan. But as a person. A few mornings later, I was making eggs at the cabin when my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I was about to decline it. Then I saw the voicemail transcript preview. "Selena, please." I left him. I pressed play. It was Kelly again. "You were right, about everything. I left Derek. I couldn't keep pretending he was a victim. He knew what he was doing. He used you, and I let him. I'm not asking for anything. Just, I wanted you to know. You were the only one who ever told the truth out loud." I stared at the window for a long time after that. The trees outside swayed like they knew something I didn't. 2 days later, a large envelope arrived at my Seattle apartment. One I hadn't seen in weeks. No return address. Just my name, written in the neat, familiar handwriting of my mother. Inside, 10 pages of carefully written justification, how things got out of hand. how they never meant to hurt me, how they assumed I'd always be there. "That's what good daughters do," she wrote. That one line stuck with me. Not, "We were wrong." Not, "We stole from you." Just, "You were supposed to stay quiet and keep giving." I folded the letter in half and dropped it into the shredder. I moved. A new apartment, a new city, a new number. No more surprise visits. No more guilt-shaped voicemails. No more emotional pickpocketing dressed up as love. I changed my number, blocked every contact but Kelly, started therapy again, and this time I went every week. My boss, who had noticed how oddly focused and sharp I'd become, offered me a promotion. I took it. It's funny how well you work when you're not secretly paying your mom's electric bill and your sister's credit card in the background of your own life. And then, something unexpected happened. A small envelope, handwritten. No return. Address. Inside, a check for $1,200 and a note. I left him. "You were right. Watching what you did gave me the courage to walk away too. This is for the things you paid for that no one thanked you for. Ellie's tablet, our rent, the clothes. You're not just brave, Selena. You're the reason I finally saw the truth. Kelly." I sat on the floor and cried, not from grief, not from rage, but because for the first time in my life, someone chose to repay me without being asked, not with guilt, not with guilt trips, not with manipulation, just honesty. 3 months have passed since that night. 3 months since I stood in Clara's living room, dropped a folder full of truth on the table, and walked away for good. They say time heals. That's only half right. Time alone doesn't fix betrayal. But space, silence, distance, that's where I found oxygen again. Clara and Derek are still under investigation. Last I heard, Derek lost his job permanently. Clara's accounts were frozen. Dad's trying to refinance the house. Mom's blaming outside influences for tearing the family apart. They still don't get it. I didn't tear anything apart. I just stopped pretending the pieces were still whole. Sometimes I get flashbacks. That night at the reunion. Derek, leaning against the fridge, beer in hand, that smug smile. Clara rolling her eyes, Mom saying, "You're fine. You've always been fine." And now they know. That money wasn't just money. It was my time, my sleep, my years, my boundaries. And they violated all of it. I don't celebrate their downfall, but I do celebrate myself for surviving it, for walking away, for not looking back even when the silence got lonely. Because that silence, it's not emptiness, it's freedom. No more late-night Venmo transfers. No more gaslighting phone calls. No more emotional extortion wrapped in the word family. People ask me now, "Do you regret it?" My answer is always the same. Only that I waited so long. I regret every sleepless night, every canceled vacation, every moment I shrunk myself down so they could feel big. I regret staying quiet when I should have said, "You're crossing a line." But do I regret standing up? Burning it down? Never. My therapist once asked me, "Why did it take so long for you to say no?" I told her, "Because I thought saying no meant I didn't love them." She nodded. Saying no is how you teach people to love you back. I've never forgotten that. A few weeks ago, I ran into someone from college. She said, "I saw what happened with your family online. I expected shame or scandal, but instead, good for you. Most people never get out." I smiled, thanked her, and walked away feeling a little taller. Because I am not your bank, not your fallback plan, not your family's emotional punching bag. I'm Selena Vega, and I'm free. If you've ever been the strong one in your family, what was the moment you finally said, enough? Share the moment you claimed your freedom in the comments below.